Hi, welcome back. This is Chris over at 3d-palace again. What we're going to be doing is more cowling. So if I just hit F4, we have got an area here, as you can see, that is in need of some detail. So what I'm going to do is start here. Let's do an insert. People in 3d-palace IRC have pretty much fallen asleep while I went, because I had a quick noodle break. It was 10 minutes. How long did I take? About 10 minutes. Had some noodles. It was most enjoyable. So I'm going to bring this back now. This will go underneath here. I'm just going to bring it back in. Yep. Can't keep 3d-palace waiting. Besides which, when you're on a modelling spree, you know, you want to get the stuff done. Okay, that should be locked into there now, which looks quite nice. I've got some parts down here that I'm going to have to work on. So if I just take this one and just extrude it lots, then rotate it, say 90 degrees, and lock it into place. You know, I'm not entirely sure. Let's say they're capacitors. Okay, we're going to say these are all capacitors all the way down here for charging it up. So if they're capacitors, what kind of weapon do you think that makes it? A pulse rifle. Well, why the hell not? Let's call it a pulse cannon though, just to be on the safe side, what with it being the size of a large thing. But yeah, that'll work. Pulse cannon it is. I think that also works very well as a description, yes. The Splat Master. Pain Giver. Slot for the carbon rod. Nice. Get these parts together here. And scale it. Just keeping an eye on what I'm doing here now. Just whizzing around my model. Yeah, do you remember that one that I did? It was kind of a rush job really, but I made a weapon tutorial with Cleany ages and ages ago. I think it was the SK2000 or something like that. Epic weapon. It's quite an old tutorial set. I just made it because it was funny at the time. That was the first time Joss had actually came over to see us, and we thought we'd have a laugh getting drunk and making a video tutorial. And the kids getting drunk isn't big or clever. Unless the alcohol's free. This is bringing me back to the good old days of 3d-palace. Back when we used to make video tutorials that were a lot more kind of, not loose, but a lot more fun, certainly. Rather than the more serious stuff that I've been making of late. Okay, and we're going to extrude this one out. Scale it just on one axis. Yeah, I think the Pants Smudger is probably about the best name I've heard for a weapon. I must admit, I wouldn't be overly delighted to see this thing coming towards me, or even pointing in my general direction. Just mount it onto the crux and get it over with. Well, that didn't work very well. Why is it not doing it? Oh, I see. I've got extrude on. Connect. Chamfer. And let's flatten this. Yes, that's a brilliant suggestion up in 3d-palace IRC. I should in fact use this to destroy the old no-no model. Anyone who's actually seen the no-no model will probably agree with that wholeheartedly. Right, now then, I could probably do with some sort of a circular piece to come down here, so what I'm going to do is just grab this, just here, flatten it, and I'm going to build a part on top of this just using cylinder. Make sure auto grid's on. And I'm just going to draw it out from about here. Oh, wow. Such happy memories. BK at the minute's talking about the old Ulysses 41. Was it 41 or 51? We were determined at the time, like me and me and it was Squid and BK. We're gonna like have a laugh, try to recreate the entire intro to Ulysses 31, which seemed like a really fun idea at the time and something fun that you could do in 3D because, you know, the IP's not dead, but I mean it hasn't been worked on for years. They even ran out of money halfway through actually making the cartoon series. So we started and we did everything, project management job, you know, assigned tasks to each other and got started. And the no-no tutorial was the result of trying to come up with this kind of intro, because I think we got as far as, in the introduction, this piece that was basically where the kid slides across the floor and is hugging Ulysses, like, "Oh, father," and honestly, we just couldn't take the series seriously. The animation on Ulysses 31, once you get past, you know, the fact that it's full of awesome mythical robots and stuff, the plot's just terrible, and it was awful. And we just, I think BK probably laughed so much he actually injured himself at least twice. There we go. See that naming convention I've used there? That's right, didn't use one. That's it. Horizontal head snap. Oh my god. That was probably the best part of the whole of Ulysses 31, the horizontal head snap. It's this part where they kind of rush towards each other. I'll have to find the clip. In fact, I tell you what, if we're really lucky, right, and you ask nicely, maybe BK, he wasn't posted on 3d-palace very much for a long time, we'll post the horizontal head snap for us to laugh at, because it is a treat. It occurs to me, you know, that even though this looks complicated, this is actually quite a simple tutorial set. So hopefully it'll be good for you guys who want to learn a bit about 3ds Max and who are very results driven, because 3D tends to be quite results driven. People do like to have a nice model at the end of it. I find it hard to concentrate now thinking about the horizontal head snap in Ulysses 31, unfortunately. So do bear with me. I know I'm using a lot of hotkeys here, but if I wasn't, this would take a lot longer. Extrude this up. And then bring it in. Well, it's only bolted together fairly well, but oh look, what's this at the back? We actually have no control method for the handle. Don't get me wrong, it's a pretty handle, but there isn't actually anything inside it that will denote how it works, i.e. no trigger. Q1 trigger being built. Wow, that goes on quite a long way, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is start with the box and just probably bring it down to around about there and down. Give it a width segment. Convert to editable poly. Grow it. Control I. Delete that side. Okay, and apply symmetry. Like so. Oops, don't pin that part, pin this part. And back to work again. It doesn't matter if pieces pass through other pieces, incidentally. Well, it might do if you're a bit of a perfectionist, but you know. Generally, no. Not the way we're doing this, anyway. I say we loosely because it's actually me doing this. Which is not to belittle your role in the part you have played in the video tutorial, merely so that it's only me that takes the blame for it. At the moment I'm fairly sure BK, if I remember him as well as I do, because he only came back a short while ago after an absence of some time, is probably searching for the Ulysses 31 video segment to post on 3d-palace at the moment. The horizontal head snap. Which was, incidentally, one of the funniest and greatest things in the entire universe. And what made it impossible to finish the Ulysses 31 project. And the fact that at the time, you know, I'm not saying my skills now are fantastic, but they were considerably less back then. I remember VK being significantly better as a modeler than me. And also, significantly not bloody doing much in the range of releasing models, you git. Let's extrude this in. And then out. I'm trying to avoid, even though this is basically a sub D model, I'm actually trying to avoid using sub D wherever I can, which seems strange, but I was going to say there's a reason for it, but really there isn't. I'm just avoiding using sub D at the minute. Okay, I'm going to go into here. Oh, I see, I'm not even on the right part, am I? Drop down into the right bit. Yeah, I've locked my model. There we go. Now this part here first. And if I just loop it, it won't actually loop too far, which is cool, because we don't want it to. Just going to chamfer this a little, and a little more, like so. To round this bit, and then if I go through here, do a connect, and then for each of these I'll do another chamfer. And then in each of these, quick ring and a connect. Make sure I've got this selected properly, so I'm holding down Control and just doing marquee selects. There we go. As you can see, it rounds out quite nicely. Okay. As you see, I've got facing polys there that I'm going to have to delete for that one. For this one, however, I'm actually quite content with the way that one's gone along. And it barrels down here a bit too much for my liking. So I'll probably have to select this and just do a tiny bevel. Once I've done that, it actually strengthens that edge quite considerably, as you can see. That one will need more strengthening in places. It's too curved. That one's also too curved in places and will need strengthening as well. Apart from that, it seems okay. Look down here, this one. Just going to be a case of doing cleanup and applying edge checks, I think, as much as anything on these. Okay then, so let's break back to what we were doing, which is turning off all the NURM sub-Ds. Because now it's time to do a little bit of tidy up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start isolating and hiding, start at the back, work my way forward, just wherever we've got some symmetry. So there's no symmetry on this one. So I'm going to isolate selection, just check it over, exit isolation mode, hide. I'm not bothering using layers because there's just not enough parts really. This part here, let's go editable poly, turn off view end result. Get rid of those. End result on. Over to here. Isolate it. Just want to make sure there's no polygons on the inside. Doesn't look like there are. Isolate this one. This is a nice complex piece. I really like this one. Let's get rid of any of these parts here. That. It's a lovely shape. This one is this, yep, this is symmetry as well. Isolate it. So if we don't, we get like the cloven horse's foot effect. Not horse's, with a camel's foot, you know, where it's kind of got a cloven parts where it shouldn't have. It looks terrible. More cowling here. Again, just go through the model, and I'm just going to delete all these polygons here. There we go, just delete that one as well, and that one, and that one, and there. I can delete that just because it's not seen. Look up here, get rid of all these end polygons. There we go. Okay. And then exit isolation mode again. And this one isn't even using symmetry for the 4 barrel, which makes stuff a lot easier. Okay, let's unhide all. And we haven't actually started applying any bolts or anything to this yet, so what I'm going to do is, because I'm content with the way that these pipes are lying now, I'm going to convert to, well, there we go, just collapse the stack really, but convert to editable poly. I'm going to start adding parts to each other. Now over here, convert to editable poly, and attach carefully, like so. Now I can apply symmetry to this, just so I can get it in the right area. if I can't see what I'm doing. Check it's in place, and it is. Just collapse the stack. Okay, so as you see now, that kind of works out there quite well. Okay, now I'm pretty sure I've got edge checks installed on this. If you've never used edge checks before, it's by, well, just do a search on Google. You'll find 3d-palace is mentioning it, then you'll find the website for it. I think it's only about $30 or something. The demo version doesn't allow you to collapse your stack, unfortunately. Right, so I'm just using standard edge checks. So you probably can't see it doing very much, but the difference is that if I then stick an edit poly on top, actually no, not even an edit poly, hang on, I'll just, if I collapse my stack, like so, and then use NURM subdivision, you can kind of see the difference it's made there. Chamfered edges make a big difference. Okay, over here I'll just stick NURM sub D on straight away. I've got to build a part for this, but I'm going to do that in just a moment. Let's log into this. Bring that to about there. Remember, it's quite a loose model we're doing here, so it doesn't need to be massively exact. Run it straight down like that. Now obviously these parts here are kind of sticking out of it a little bit, so that's no good. Should really have planned that slightly better, I think. Someone messaged me on Facebook asking for some sort of help or advice at the moment. Whoever it is, I'm a teeny weeny bit busy at the moment. Just extrude straight over the top. There we are. Now I'm going to run an edge checks on this. I'll just pick up any edges, and then I can just run, you know, turbo smooth on it. Stick perhaps 2 iterations on. A little bit of repair work you can see there needs to be done. Turn edge checks on again. I'm just going to move this vert first, and its corresponding vert on this side. If you're embedding YouTube videos into 3d-palace, just put the URL in and it should work. If it doesn't, then just, you know, pop the URL and people can actually click on it. Edge checks, turbo smooth, there we go, maybe 2 iterations, nice shape that. Okay, now over to here, edge checks again, and another turbo smooth. over here, edge checks. Takes slightly longer on this because it's a bigger piece. Then turbo smooth. Like so. Now this piece here is slightly more tricky. Probably go to an edit poly. I'm more interested in just tessellating this one a bit, and then turbo smoothing it. Like so. Over here, another edge checks. I tend to put 2 iterations on because it tends to tidy the model up a bit. Like so. The front barrel. Another wonderful job for edge checks and turbo smooth. As you can see, we're starting to kind of really increase the amount of polygons we're using here. Edge checks. But you see why it's such a damned useful plugin using using edge checks now, hopefully. 2 or 1 doesn't really seem to make much difference. Thanks for that, BK. Works nicely. Okay, so this is our detail level weapon, so I'm going to save it. I'm going to save as non-collapsed. Low poly with turbo smooth. Because you can take off all the excess chamfers and all the excess stuff on this and go back to the low poly again, should you need to. Now, what I'm going to do is go into the wonderful world of detailing. So for this, it's already fairly detailed, but I want it to look nicer. For this, I'm now going to... God, I haven't built a stand for it. What a terrible thing. Put this in here. Bring this down. This is a temporary thing, so I can see how that would work. There you go, pimple mount. Yay. That would be off John, probably, I would imagine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just collapse everything pretty much. So if I just grab it all, convert to editable poly, that collapses everything in the scene, and suddenly we've got a lot of polygons. There we go. Make sure everything's collapsed. Now it could be the 3ds Max is going to crash again. I'll give it a second to decide. No, it isn't. And I'm going to save as collapsed high poly. and we're going to be using Hovercrafter's placement tool script, I think. That's a bit of coffee there. So for this I'm going to need to create some parts. Now I can see how big this is, which is a help. So I'm going to create a box just to act as a table for me. Because I always tend to create things along this kind of table model. And I need to look at just creating a defined amount of parts. I don't want too many. So let me see. Cylinder. Zoom in on this. Convert to a double poly. A quick bevel. Now the problem is we're working at such a small scale here that it's easy to kind of get lost with it. See what I mean? Sometimes you actually have to use the transform typing. Another method to use, though, if it's kind of too small and you don't want to be fiddling around with scales like that, is just make it really, really big. Allow me to demonstrate. Now, if I make it really, really big, I can all kind of bevel to my heart's content here and do what I want to it. And then, as long as I shrink it and apply an X form reset to it, it's fine. So, bevel. And I can just go ape for detail. So, for example, here, let's see. I'm going to select this and select loops with gaps. Am I doing a loop? Yes, I am. But it won't allow me to do a loop with gaps. That's no good. I'll just have to select them independently, one after the other. There we are, loop with gaps. Now I should be able to click collapse, and that makes that shape there. Now if I border it, I hate having to think at the same time. We now have one of these types. I will then shrink it all the way down, so it's actually usable, because at the minute it's a teeny bit large. Okay, and then I shall apply an X form reset to it. And then collapse its stack. And I'll do another one. I don't do too many of these, so I'm going to do screws next. And do a bevel. Bring it in like this. Okay, now I'm going to make a box. I'm going to bring out the top of this. I really need to clean this trackball. There we go. Now, quick compound. Boolean, pick up param B, convert to edible poly, Now we just shrink it like heck. A little bit smaller than that kind of Allen key bolt thing. Reset selected. Right click, convert to editable polygon. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just name these parts. This is going to be tool 1 and this is going to be tool 02. And I'm only going to do one half of the weapon. It is a very loud chair. Okay, so can't afford no luxury chairs with the quiet springs on. Lucky I'm not sitting on a pile of bloody rocks the way 3d-palace is working at the minute. That rocks would probably be an upgrade. This trackball is so manky. Okay, so let me see. Mac script, run script. Go to my projects folder. Eventually. Go to the prior folder, 'cause I'm pretty sure I left the script in there. Placement tool. Or hair floater, as they call it. And I'm going to move the junk out of the way of my Wacom pen. And let's see. Which part am I going to be doing first? Hide unselected. Or even just isolate selection, that would do. Right. Select a source, pick distribution object 1 and distribution object 2. Use place. And I'm just going to use the larger objects at the moment. I know there's a few errors in the mesh, but I'm just trying to avoid looking at them. Especially considering this is kind of a rush build, which isn't easy to make at the best of times. Undo that one, just put 1 there. You know what? I'm going to be superstitious here. Well, I'm not even superstitious. I'll tell you what I'm going to do then. Let's get rid of all the parts on tool again. So, tool 3, here we are. Get rid of that. Because if I zoom in, stop placing you. If I zoom in on this piece over here, I should have deleted this back face. Otherwise, when we get to a distance, you can actually see through the model and it looks pretty bad. Okay, set selection as source. Go back to this again. But you'll notice when I place it now, it actually looks better. Also, good afternoon, Unreal. And the reason that I'm only having a few bolts is because it makes ergonomic and economic sense from a model point of view. Because we know that if this is a factory weapon, then the people making it aren't going to want to have millions of different sized bolts. Go and take something to bits in your living room, you know, and you do. you'll discover it only uses a certain amount of screws and bolts. Maybe some of the screws are different lengths, but they have the same head. And this is so in the factory, when they put it all together, they don't need an array of multifunction tools to do it with. And this makes our job a lot easier too. If we've got lots and lots of different shapes, it just starts to look like a Dr. Seuss picture. Dr. Seuss is cool if you're doing cartoon style stuff or whatever. We're doing this unsightly weapon, which doesn't even have a name yet. There we go. Over here. Always looks nice when you do it this way. Okay, turn place off. And now if we take tool 3, it should be just there, and attach by list tool 4 through to tool everything, but not cowling. Okay, now if we select this, effect pivot only, and align with this, and align its orientation as well. Makes it a lot easier when it comes to doing what we're about to do, which is just duplicating everything using the symmetry tool. You'll notice they're a little bit offset. That's not a problem, we just grab our symmetry tool and move it back in. Actually, to be honest, let's delete that first and reset the X form. Now I can see that all these things have gone inside out, so I can turn the right way, just do a Control A and a flip. I can actually manage to reach the flip button. You can actually just apply it all over the model if you feel so inclined. It just depends how much time you've got. There we go. Collapse all. And if we keep this as a separate object, all these masses and masses here, then we can colour them separately. So this is Rivet Pile 1. And then we can exit isolation mode. And we can find another thing to detail. So probably this, and we can do this at the same time. So isolate, and I don't think these need any rivets actually, so hide. Let's do this. And set selection as source. I'm going to use tool 2, which is smaller. Not a lot smaller, just a little bit though. Oh, haven't selected tool 2. I was wondering why I wasn't doing anything. Wait for autosave because the file's bigger than it was a little while ago. And if you don't want to apply symmetry, just do it all manually. Now I can see here, in the front of our model, that horrible things have happened that shouldn't have happened. So time to go and do some repair, because I hadn't actually seen this till now. Can work out where the middle is, you just look for this bit. Can't stand a mess. Should do it. Off you go. Wasn't doing anything anyway. Right, back to the placement. It's messy, but you can fix it yourself later on, I'm sure. Okay, that's fine. Turn place off. And for this one I'm just going to add all the screws. So tool 3 onwards. Exit isolation mode, unhide all. What's next? Well, we've done that. This part here is tiny, doesn't need any detail. Oops. Take this one. Again, take our tools. Isolate selection. Nice simple part. This is just minor stuff that we're going to see kind of eventually. Usually just in between the cowling. Okay, and here. There we go. Take this, again, do an attach. 3 upwards. Now I've done that part there. So let's have a look at this part here. Isolate. Before we do, see, as you isolate the individual parts, it doesn't look as good, which is always the case really with modelling. But that's okay, because we only ever show them together. Do this on the bottom here. A lot of detail is hidden by the fact that there's cowling in front of pretty much everything. So a lot of the time this is just the shape that we pretty much started off with, just with the turbo smooth applied to it. And we don't need to put any details on the front of it because it's a part that's never seen. God, for that I thought I'd stop recording for a minute. Okay, drop in the screws. And over here. And yeah, why not? It's getting close. Not floating it about quite so much. Turn it around. Line it up more accurately if you've got more time than me. And you probably do have more time than me if you're sitting watching a video tutorial, to be honest. Either that or you're in some sort of Turkish prison. Don't know, BK. Don't know, mate. I'll do what I can. Okay, 3 onwards. Touch everything. Wait a moment. Look out window. Oh, it's done. Pretty sure that one's going to crash actually, so I'll just save again. Oh, it's auto-saving. Right, let's have a look over here. The insane cow. I'll use the large one for this. And here we go again. I don't know what I'd do if I hadn't found this script. It's so damned useful. Those are too big. Oh, God, what's that? I quite like some of the idiosyncrasies this model's kind of thrown up actually. You may notice I'm not talking so much now. It's just simply because I'm kind of concentrating on placement of these pieces and just trying to work out a kind of logistical way that this would have been assembled in the fiction factory that it was created in. Little parts over here I'm avoiding using the big bolts on because I can come and use the smaller screws on those later on. I don't have to be perfectly symmetrical in the way that I do it if I don't want to be. And in fact losing some of the symmetry is never a bad thing. Okay, let's go to distribution object 2. and again here, and here, and over here. I always like to do these and try and compare it to like the video tutorials I used to do 4, 5, 6 years ago. Because I used to do things completely differently back then, and the fashion and style of video tutorials has changed an awful lot in the amount of time that I've been doing it. Okay, let's have a look over here. Some more pressing here and here. And here. And yes, you can probably tidy that up a lot more than I have. Okay, same as before, going to attach everything from tool 3 to tool 130, same weight. What a loud chair. Someone donate me a chair, I'll say nice things about it. Okay, so that's the screws placed in on that one. Where are we up to now? This handly thing, isn't it? Isolate. This is quite a nice quick piece, I would imagine. Again, just logistical placement of screws. Control Z being your best friend. I have hidden the other tools. Well done me. Attach those. Getting down further towards the handle now. Isolate, selection. Now, most of this is hidden, so I'm just going to detail this handle area. Wearing this headphone set is starting to knack my ear because it's pushing in my glasses. Okay, back into placement. Okay, that goes there. Same again on the other side. I can only assume they put more screws on this for just securing the trigger plate. No, I'm just not talking very much at the moment, sorry about that. I've either that or the sound's gone off, one of the two. Okay, just going to attach everything again. Should be about ready. 1 hour, 5 minutes in. And I'm going to click exit isolation mode. Nearly there. There. Okay. And I think this one actually could probably do with... that noise was the mouse ball falling out of the mouse. I think it could probably do with a little bit more detail on that jaw area there. So quite a heavy model now, obviously. Yep, definitely going to have to clean this. People who are in the IRC are now complaining they can't hear the live recording, which is a shame. Probably means something's gone wrong with the microphone. Still recording at my end. It's probably just because I've been recording for a long time now.